The time is now 5:30. The date is September the 17th, 2024. We will call to order the City of Statesboro Mayor and Council meeting. And we will have our invocation and pledge of allegiance by Mayor Pro Tem Sherry Barnes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For our invocation tonight, I wanted to share some words from three wise Americans. I want to share some advice written by William Henry Channing. William Henry Channing was a Unitarian clergy person and a writer who lived here in the 1800s. I then will share a very brief prayer from Howard Thurman. Howard Thurman was also an American author, a philosopher, and was considered a Christian mystic. And then I'll conclude with words of advice from Marianne Williamson, who was born in 1952. She's a writer and a spiritual teacher, as well as an activist who's active today. William Henry Channing's words, I'll begin. To live content with small means, to seek elegance rather than luxury, and refinement rather than fashion, to be worthy, not respectable, and wealthy, not rich, to study hard, think quietly, talk gently, act frankly, to listen to stars and birds, to babes and sages with open heart, to bear all cheerfully, to do all bravely, await occasions, hurry never, to let the spiritual, unbidden and unconscious, grow up through the common. This is to be my symphony. And then the prayer from Howard Thurman. In the quietness of this place, surrounded by the all-pervading presence of the holy, my heart whispers, keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve, that in good times or in tempest, I may not forget that to which my life is committed. Keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve. And then advice from Marianne Williamson. So, like me, she believes we're all here to learn how to love, to remove blocks to the awareness of love. And she says, to relax, to feel the love in your heart and keep to that as your focus in every situation. That's the meaning of spiritual surrender. It changes us. We become deeper, more effective, more attractive people. May it be so. As you will, please rise. John will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll move down to agenda item 3, which is recognition and public presentations. Tonight we have a very special presentation. Is the retirement award to Mr. Don Hollingsworth in the Public Works Department, who is retiring effective October the 1st, 2024, after 31 years of service. So let's give him a round of applause. We will. There is a note that has been prepared and been asked to share publicly, and it is prepared by Matt Acock, our Assistant Director of Public Utilities, and it reads as follows. Don began his career with the City of Statesboro on July 28, 1993. In the Water and Sewer Department, working on a concrete truck, where his main duties included making road cuts, raising manholes, and water valves. Over the next several years, he worked his way up to concrete crew leader while also obtaining his CDL license and state of Georgia certifications in water distribution and wastewater collections. With his experience and certifications in hand, Don then transferred within the Water and Sewer Department to the position of camera operator and then camera crew leader, where he learned to operate city sewer vacuum truck and camera equipment, diagnosing problem areas within the city sewer system. Throughout his 31 years with the city, Don has shown his dedication by always being on time and rarely missing work. He typically took a vacation time only when he was at risk of losing it. Don knew well how to operate the equipment that he was in charge of and would get the job done. When given a task to overcome, the city of Statesboro is losing a valuable employee with many years of expertise. But we are grateful for Don's service and wish him a long and happy retirement. Congratulations. We want to present this, council, if y'all will. We want to present this. And we want your family to come up and take a photo with you as well. Okay. You go grab the team. Okay. That's fair. Y'all come on.
Let's get y'all first and then
We'll go first.
Y'all step back into
We're gonna step back into the
Yeah, all the water is up until we come to
Hey, they want to do that? Yeah, I know we're waiting on
We
you.
wanna,
Let's see. Councilman Ritz, could you actually come out there? Yep, and then Councilman Barr, can you and Don shift? Yep. Yes.
shift
Yes,
with,
Slide up.
Yep,
Yeah.
that works.
Is that done?
Councilman Briggs, yep.
I'm a wingman.
Ready, 1, 2, 3. My flash didn't come on, 1 second. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then you want to get one with your team members too.
Team.
public utilities. Come on.
Yeah, no, just him and his team.
Remember on Mission Drive, I was riding by there, doing that. And you jump in the back of the truck and you're like, check it out, man, it's so cool. I also taught somebody else.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Governor. You were there.
No, I will be for a
Well,
while.
he'll be the one doing it. Thank you.
Tighten up.
Yeah. Okay, if you can't see me, I can't see you. Everybody's good. Now I think you were better over there. Okay. Right behind Dawn. Yep, that works. Yep.
You don't want to be seen.
Okay, well, if you don't want to be seen, stay where you are.
He's
Okay.
in witness protection.
Ready, 1, 2, 3. Dawn, can you tilt that award down just a bit? Yep. 1, 2, 3. And one last one. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you.
Not much right away. It's yours. Thank you very much.
It's always special when we're able to celebrate someone that has dedicated so much of their life, not just to the city as an organization, but to the people that call Statesboro home. 31 years is a lifetime for some. And so we're just more than elated that Don chose to dedicate that time with us. So we're more than thankful for that. We'll move down to agenda item 4, which is public comments. We do have some comments that signed up, but therefore the second part of the agenda. We'll move down to agenda item 5, which is consideration of a motion to approve the consent agenda. And the consent agenda consists of the approval of our minutes for our September the 3rd council minutes and executive session. It also includes consideration of a motion to approve the surplus and disposition of a 1996 Freightliner RV in the Statesboro Fire Department, as well as consideration of a motion to approve the due date of December 20th and 24th for the city of Statesboro property taxes. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll move down to agenda item 6. It should be noted that the applicant requests the removal of this particular project and for it to be placed on hold. Is there a motion to do so?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll move down to agenda item 7, which is a public hearing and consideration of a motion to approve resolution 2024-25, a resolution setting the millage rate for ad valorem property taxes for 2023. I'm assuming this is 2025
Yes.
calendar year for the city of Statesboro. There's a typo here. With that being said, is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we want to open it up to our city manager, Mr. Charles Penny. If you will, give us a little insight on this one.
Members of the city council, if you don't mind, I'm going to make this presentation that I made at the other two sessions. In June, you approved the budget, and in that 2025 budget, the objectives were to retain and recruit exceptional employees. We had an emphasis on utility infrastructure growth. We had an emphasis on tax-based growth, and we had an emphasis on public safety. When you look at our 2025 budget highlights, what we saw a 10% total expense decrease, less transfers. And so we had over $103 million budget in FY 2024. And for the 2025 budget, you see $93,515,721. The difference there is in FY 2024, we had a number of federal funds, and we had project South Main Street project. We had some GDOT funds that came in, and so all of that is included in that budget. Although we saw the budget go down, when you look at the general fund, and the general fund is where tax dollars come into our budget. From FY 2024, we had a budget of $22,312,422. We saw a 13.5% increase in that budget for FY 2025. What you see are the FY 2025 general fund budget is $25,340,025. And I will explain in detail why that increase occurred. So when we look at our budget, compensation and benefits are important highlights. In July of last year, you approved the creation of a new pay plan because we are in competition for talent, and pay plan was conducted by Condrey Associates. And in December of 2023, you approved the pay plan, and in January of this year, the pay plan was implemented for all city employees. Some examples of what happened with that pay plan. When we look at the pay plan, before the pay plan was adopted, we were having a real challenge with hiring police officers. Our police officers were making about $46,000 a year. We had 18 openings, and today I'm happy to report that we only have 7 vacancies at this time in the Statesboro Police Department. But that pay plan, the salaries went from $46,000 to a little over $55,000 for a new police officer. Actually, at that time, it was the highest in the region. In the fire department, our firefighters were making about $43,000, but as a result of the pay plan, firefighters went from $43,000 to a little bit more than $50,000 per firefighter. And even someone that might be in a position of a maintenance or groundskeeper, their salaries went from about 31,000 to about 39,000. So even with the implementation of the pay plan, the mayor and council approved the continuation of our pay for performance for city employees. Pay for performance has been in place for 3 years with the city of Statesboro. And employees are rewarded if they are producing at a meets level, an exceeds level, or an outstanding level. And so we appreciate you continuing that effort. Then the other piece of our employee compensation has to do with our health insurance. And one of the challenges that a lot of employers will have is that they give you an increase and then they take it away because they have an increase in health insurance premium. Unfortunately, we were able to absorb any increases, so we did not pass any along to our employees. So current and future opportunities for the city of Statesboro is position Statesboro for growth in the region. And there is no question the city of Statesboro, along with the county and our entire region, are experiencing tremendous growth. So that means we have to be prepared for growth coming to our community. I will give you an example, and if people continue to remain for the public hearings, you will see annexations that will come before council and rezonings. But in the last 2 years, this council has approved over 4,000 new housing units to be built in the city of Statesboro. And when you look around our community, you see dirt moving, you see trees going down to make room for this growth and for hopefully people to live in our community. Then the other opportunities is to keep our pay plan up to date. One of the challenges with the pay plan is if you adopt the pay plan and you don't keep it up to date, you will immediately fall behind. So next July, council will be faced with what are you going to do with the pay plan? Because in order to remain competitive, we have to make sure that our pay plan stays competitive. So some of the concerns and unknowns, when you look at our community, nearly 25% of the total assessed value for real and personal property is non-taxable. And when I make that statement, I'll give you an example. Georgia Southern University is a state institution. It is not taxable. Churches are not taxable. The hospitals are not taxable. The school buildings are not taxable. Any buildings that we own are not taxable. However, all of those facilities require city services. And then the other challenge for the concern had to do with our labor market challenge, and that's why we recommended to you that you do a pay plan. And we continue to have those challenges, even with the adoption of new pay plan. Just in the last week, we have lost someone to Hyundai. And when I say that, I don't say that in a disparaging tones. We are happy about Hyundai, and we're happy for our employees to have opportunities, but that means that we have to remain competitive in order to maintain our employees. When you look at our property tax millage rate, if you look in the orange, that is the Bullock County, the Bullock Board of Education, and I'm sorry, my bifocals don't work back here, so I'm gonna have to cheat on y'all here. The millage rate for the school board is 7, they just rolled theirs back. Their millage rate is 7.932. If you look at the yellow is what our current millage rate is. Our current millage rate is 8.125. If you go all the way down, you see in the red, that is the millage rate for Bullock County. Bullock County rolled their millage rate back. Last year, Bullock County Board of Education and Bullock County both had tax increases. Bullock County's tax increase was over 12.2 mils or something like that, so they were able to roll it back this year. When you look at the city of Statesboro, you see us in the middle of the pack. with our current millage rate. So when we talk about the millage rate, I always like to show you what the millage rate does. So when you look at Bullock County, the current millage rate is 11.335. But for one meal in Bullock County will raise $3.4 million. So that 11.35 meals will raise almost $36 million. Look at the Board of Education at 7.932. One meal will raise 3.438. So again, if you take that and multiply that times the 7.92, you're looking probably at about $24 million. For the city of Statesboro, at the proposed 9.12, that's what is proposed. One meal in the city of Statesboro will raise $1.1 million. And so when I say that, one of the objectives was to grow our tax base. However, just being realistic, our tax base will never be the tax base of Bullock County or the Board of Education because they have a much larger land mass than we do. And in our case, our city is about 16 square miles. And so that's one of the things. They have such a large area that yields them that tax millage rate. So what are some of the general fund highlights? Again, earlier you heard me say about having our openings in the police department. We had 18 openings. We're down to 7. But however, our police chief is authorized, if we can ever fill those other 7, he's authorized to hire 4 additional police officers. We don't want to pass up the opportunity to hire good talent, and we know that is a competitive position, and so we authorize them to be able to overhire. When you look at the general fund, of the $25 million general fund, 63% of the general fund is actually salary and benefits. We don't make any products, so our human capital is really our most valuable resource. So when we look at this budget, the general fund budget, the increased expenditure, just in the general fund, salaries and benefits increased $1.1 million. Transferred to the fire fund. In order to keep the fire fund solvent, we had to transfer $1.2 million. With an increase in debt service of $97,000, with an increase in the cost of liability insurance for $172,000 in the general fund. We had to make a transfer to the CIP fund, now it's $60,000. And with all the development that we have going on in our community, our staff is challenged, and so we recommended to the council that the position for a senior planner, and that $93,000 is not the salary, but that is salary and fringe benefits in order to be able to recruit, hopefully an experienced senior planner, so that we're not holding development up in our community. The general fund and fire fund highlights, again, when you look at the police department budget, the police department budget is $11,268,470. The police department budget is larger than the taxes that would be generated by that 9.125 tax rate. That would generate $10 million. So when you look at the fire department, transfer to the fire department, again, we had to transfer $3.2 million. But again, earlier I mentioned there was a specific transfer that had to go to the fire fund of $1.2 million. The fire fund personnel has increased by 25 positions. We have 4 dispatch positions that we council authorized us to fill. What was occurring with the fire department? We were utilizing the communications center, the 911 center. However, one of the challenges that you have with the 911 center, it's a 911 center, so when emergency calls come in, that's their focus. When we have a fire, actual working fire, it is important to be able to manage the fire ground. So now with our own dispatchers, are able to handle that fire scene. So we're appreciative of council, and it really has worked out well to be able to have our dispatchers to be able to manage the fire scene. We also added 21 firefighters. 2 years ago, the city council approved 9 additional firefighters. A year or so ago, we applied for a SAFER grant, and we were awarded $2.1 million, and that we could hire 12 additional firefighters. The importance of those 21 additional firefighters: 5 years ago, the city of Statesboro had 48 firefighters, and that included the fire chief. So what that meant is when an engine company rolled to the scene of a fire, we didn't have enough firefighters so that we could have a full complement of staff, personnel on the fire truck. So what would happen is you might have 2 people on the truck. When they get to a fire scene, those 2 people cannot make an interior attack at a house. Because of national fire standard, in order to go in and make an interior attack, you have to have 2 people going in and 2 people outside. So what will happen now, when our fire trucks roll up to the scene, we can immediately start an interior attack because we have 4 people on the fire truck. We're able to get in. We were always good, but we're even better now with these additional firefighters. So until 2027, those firefighters, their basic pay is paid for. Any increases in salaries, turnout gear, things of that nature, all those costs are on the city of Statesboro. And we appreciate the fact that Bullock County does have a fire, in the fire district, they do provide funding for about $2.3 million to the fire fund. So when we look at the property tax calculation and looking at, I'm going to do this, but I don't want to sound redundant. Under state law, we are required to not have a higher millage rate for this year than we can't collect. We have to remain revenue neutral. So our current rate is 8.125. However, the rollback rate, based on state law, is 7.326. So if you look at the 7.326, for a house that costs $200,000, and we just picked $200,000 as for calculation, the city taxes on that house would be $571.43. At the recommended proposed tax rate of 9.125, $200,000 home, the taxes on that property, again, you're paying taxes on 40% of the assessed value of the property, would be $711.75. So you're looking at an increase of $140 a year for a $200,000 home. So the current millage rate is 8.125. State law requires adjustments to be revenue neutral, which is a millage rate of 7.326. The rollback rate is not sufficient to balance the FY 2025 budget as adopted. The millage rate of 9.125 will provide the revenue needed to operate during fiscal year 2025. So again, you see with the 8.125 last year, based on our net digest, we were able to generate $7.9 million. At 7.326, it would generate $1.1 million. And so the net revenue would be a little bit more than $8 million. The proposed millage rate of 9.125 would generate again $1.1 million. And the tax revenue would be $10,045,559.67. So in effect, you're talking about the millage rate increase would be 24.56% increase. So in summary, for the 2025 budget, could we balance the city's budget without increasing the millage? And my answer is yes. It would require the city to use $1.4 million of fund balance. Balancing with $1.4 million would erode the fund balance. And what we call it fund balance / emergency fund. The city council has a policy that our fund balance should be at least 25% of the general fund. Again, the general fund is $25 million. And so if you use the 1.4 million, you will have very little room. Right now, our general fund is about 28% of the general fund budget. So tonight, I recommend adding the 1.79 mil increase to have a balanced budget. The budget is up, and the reason the budget is up is because of the implementation of the pay plan. It costs us $2.3 million to be able to implement the pay plan. And then the other piece of it is the increased cost, the amount of money that we had to transfer to the fire fund to keep it solvent was $1.2 million. That is $3.5 million.
What's the pay plan?
Not yet. You got a public sector, you got a public session in a moment. Go ahead and speak.
So that is the increase in our budget, and that is why I am recommending to the mayor and city council that you increase the millage rate in order to pay for the pay plan that was implemented in January of this year. And it's important to us being able to hire folks. Most cities have a pay plan. A pay plan is a document that is put together normally by a consultant that understands personnel. And what they do is they look at our salaries compared with people that we're competing against. And they establish what the pay should be in order for us to be competitive. If you remember, I told you our police officers were making $46,000 a year. Out of the pay plan study, that the pay plan said we were not paying them enough. So we went from $46,000 a year to $55,000 a year. And when we look at our competition, it doesn't take much to recognize that if someone is making $46,000 a year and we don't get them to at least 55, they can go to Hyundai and make almost $60,000 a year. And so the pay plan is designed to make sure that we are paying our people for the job that they do.
Thank you, Mr. Penny. And so we're going to move into the next section, which is an opportunity for anyone that wants to speak for this request. Is there anyone here to speak for the request? All right, is there anyone here who would like to speak against the request?
Mr. Mayor, I think I saw a hand want to speak.
Mr. Orwell wanted to speak for it.
Okay, I didn't see you, I'm sorry, please go ahead.
You go by that so quick.
Then you got, I'm getting older and my vision is not what it used to be.
You're reading the paper.
Yeah, go ahead.
My name is Don Armel. I live in the city. I rise to support this plan, mostly because of the safety feature that we're talking about. EMS, fire, and police. Not only to keep them current and to be competitive across other municipalities, but I think we need to look further down the road. You just said that we've got 4,000 new units coming online. That means that there's going to be an increase in incidents that fire, police are going to have, and EMS are going to have to respond to. So we need to be ready now for the increase in population that's going to happen in the city. And I'm really not, I should say I'm concerned that balancing the budget by taking your emergency budget down to its minimum is not necessarily a good idea because we still may need that emergency in the future. We got lucky with this last one. We don't know what the year is going to be weather-wise. We still may have more to need to be ready for. But I think that's the important part is the city's ability to respond for our safety. And I also don't want to ignore the city employees that are also part of this, that are doing, working in the streets, the roads, the parks, sanitation. All that is going to increase as well. So I support your recommendation. Oh, good timing.
Thank you. Anyone else for?
Just to make a statement of anything? Yeah, my name is Ed Newbert. First, I didn't know about the public meeting last week. I saw it on Savannah news station. And it was kind of embarrassing because it was a public meeting about such an important subject and none of our council members were here. And I thought, why were they not here? And you said they were not hiding, but they weren't here. And I was kind of embarrassed by that, and I would like to ask the question why they were not here. They don't have to answer that, but that was troubling to me that the people that you elect to be here at a public meeting are actually not here to hear what the public are going to say. That was troubling to me.
I'll answer. I was not here because my father was in
And
hospital.
unless there's a good example, and I'm sure that there was, and thank you for saying that. I'm in over by the, I'm out of time, I better go. The other question I had was this. All of the new building in town, okay, all of this new building is coming up, and that is all tax revenue, is that correct?
Eventually.
Eventually, so looking down the road, have we calculated how much additional tax revenue is coming in through the new building?
So at this point, we can't do that because until it's built, until
You can't do it,
it's
okay.
issued, you can't count.
All right, because my thought was in a parallel, let's say you had a restaurant and you have really great clients and they're all coming and having great food. And now you're going to get a whole bunch of new people coming in to your restaurant. And then you say to the people who have been your clients and they've been enjoying it, we're going to raise your food rate, the meal rates. We're going to make cost you more because we have more clients coming in. And if people would ask and say, well, you have more people coming in, then you have more revenue. And the more revenue you have, a lot of times your meal prices go down because of the amount of revenue you have coming in. So that seemed logical to me. So we'd say, well, we need more services. We need more servers and dishwashers and cooks. We say, well, we got more people coming in. We have more revenue to pay for that. Because it seems like you're saying, well, we're stuck with this budget, but we have all this new revenue coming in, but we're just going to look at what we have right now rather than looking to the future.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Could I yeah. Sir, to your point, our desire is to grow our tax base.
Yes.
And when council approves housing or any new development, that is growing the tax base. However, it will take time before that tax base can go on the books. And eventually, if you add all of that tax base, the tax rate will come down. It will work that way. However, but I can't budget today
Correct.
on something because every time they approve a development, there's a current development that's been on the books that they approved over 2 years ago. It never moved, but it's now moving.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't try to budget until we don't count it until it's actually built and on the ground. And when that happens, you should see the tax rate come down.
Good. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, appreciate it. All right. Is there anyone else that would like to speak against?
Hello, I'm Cassandra Michael, Mayor, Council. I come before you to inform you that you are not in compliance with the protocols of the Taxpayer Bill of Rights. City Manager Charles Penny made statements that run contrary to Georgia law and the policies of the Georgia Department of Revenue when he stated that Mayor and Council are not required to be here and that the actual public hearing would be held next Tuesday before the mayor and city council at 5:30. Mr. Penny's presentation for the proposed increase is necessary, but so is the presence of a quorum of the actual levying authority, the mayor and city council at all meetings, the ones who actually vote on the millage rate. Also important, like you did today, is calling the meeting and the hearing to order. The Department of Revenue has stated that there is a requirement of a quorum of the levying authority present at all Tabor hearings. You have not met those requirements of Tabor hearings because at the first two alleged hearings, you did not have a quorum. No one even bothered to show up at the first supposed hearing, and only one council person showed up at the second alleged hearing. If you want to get the City of Statesboro tax bills out by October 1st, your only option is to pass the full rollback rate of 7.326 tonight. Otherwise, I will be forced to file an injunction from the city billing for the proposed increased millage rate of 9.125. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to turn over to our city attorney. Can you give us any insight? Is there any error in
I was need to look into that further.
Okay. Thank you. All right, is there anyone else to speak again? All right. Seeing that there is none, we'll be opening it up for or against. Is there anyone for or against? All right, thank you. All right, so at this point right now, we'll close the hearing. Is there a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we want to open it up for council discussion.
Mr. Mayor, I assume we'll move forward with our deliberations and vote on the millage, what it should be, and then if there's any legal complications that we have to deal with, we'll deal with them later, but we'll proceed because we're understanding we're in compliance and doing it the right way now. Is that correct?
That's good.
Thank you. Go ahead, John, sorry.
Well, Paulette was ready.
Well, I need to indicate this before we move forward with the meeting. This same thing came up last year. And I begged you guys, let's do it now. There was a couple people who came in and influenced you to do something differently. But we're here again. I don't like to keep taxing people over and over and over again. That was the purpose of doing it the first time. Now we are back in this situation. And I'm a little pissed off that we're back in this situation because we could have handled that when we had the opportunity to handle it. But now we're here, all these people here, they're going to be upset with us because we got to do what we have to do. But we should have done that last year.
Ms. Chambers, may I clarify? I think I understand. You're saying that you wish the majority had agreed to increase it more last year. Because if that had happened, we might now be in the same position as the county, that we would have had more money coming in, and we could have rolled back instead, or we might not have to increase as much. Is that what you're thinking?
No, I'm saying that we should have increased it to the full amount last year so we wouldn't have to be in this spot this year coming back talking about increasing taxes. My statement was that my statement was let's do it now so that we won't be back here again this year. And that's on record.
I think the public kind of needs some context about the conversation that's occurring. The context of this conversation is that we knew last year that it was going to be a $2.3 million pay plan implementation. And so what the staff wanted to do was get out in front of that, understanding that if we were going to implement that, then we knew how much it was going to cost. So the staff came to us with a recommendation of increasing it to 2.1 some odd mils last year. And so what the council decided to do was not to raise it to the full extent. And we have to be abundantly clear. Where does that $2.3 million come from? That $2.3 million comes from the fact that we had to take care of public safety. And I'm looking across the room now, and I'm looking into some folks that I've talked to personally, individuals that I've observed in social media. If you guys remember last year about this time, we were down 18 police officers. And we had issues going on within our community that was a concern as it relates to public safety. And so the decision that we made as a community was that it was important to do what? To maintain public safety. And by maintaining public safety, that means we had to make the investments to bring on more firefighters. We had to increase our pay and hire an additional round of law enforcement officers. And I think we all, at that time period, I think we all said that we backed the blue. That's what we said. And so by backing the blue, we had to make the decision to do what? Pay the blue. We had to pay them. And so now we are in a space where it's time to pay our police officers. It's time to pay our firefighters. It's time to pay our public works people, the folks that keep our community clean. And so that's the decision that our community has before us today. Now, nobody wants their taxes raised. And let me tell you how dedicated this group of people was about raising taxes in this community. This is my 7th year as mayor of this city. And we leveraged our fund balance in such a way so that we did not raise taxes during COVID. But we managed to set up opportunities for individuals that may have dealt with food scarcity, housing scarcity. We've been very astute of going back and paying and helping individuals during very difficult times. And so now we are in this space because we chose not to raise taxes on our people during the most difficult times, so that we will be able to make sure that folks were able to make it within our community. And we've been very proactive as far as helping people in very difficult situations. And we've been extremely transparent. I, for one, outside of the staff, I've probably, in my 7 years, I've probably had 20 town halls. 20. And so we've been very transparent. And so this evening, yes, we do have a difficult decision to make. Do any of us want to make it? No, we don't. But Ms. Shavers is right. If we had done this the way we were supposed to last year, we may be in a position with growth to be able to roll back this year. But that's not what the decision was. But we move forward with paying our police officers. We move forward with paying our firefighters. And we move forward with saying our employees that work in our water departments and public utilities and public works. We said that it was worth stabilizing the organization. And so I'm one of those people that say, you gotta have results. You gotta have results. So Statesboro, what's the results? The real results is that we went from having a police department that had 18 vacancies. Now we have 7. So in less than a year, between January and now, we've managed to go out and hire 11 police officers, some of whom that left and came back, so that we can keep our community safe. We've expanded our fire so that we were able to save homes, and we've been able to address sanitation, water, and public works. And our organization is extremely stable right now. And that's because we as a community, all of us, decided that we needed to make sure our police officers, our firefighters, those that support those, and those that support this city was worth keeping. Just like the gentleman that spent 31 years of his life here with us, serving you. And so, council, whatever decision you guys have that you make, my stance is I back the blue, and I think it's time for us to pay the blue. That's what my stance is.
Did you have anything you wanted to say?
I'd like to say that I respect everything the mayor said and Mr. Penny. I also back the blue and the fire department and all the city employees. I think they're doing a great job. And I hear what you're saying also, about us expanding and growing and, possible more crime and with any kind of emergencies that could happen. I'm aware that the fund balance could go to that. I'm not, my point of view, I'm not asking that we decrease the millage, but I can't support, going up on it at this time, just because I feel for many it might be too much hardship, on their budget. And some of the increases last year that have been rolled back, when they were increased, I know made it very hard on a lot of people to function and to continue their businesses. And just single family, home owners as well. So I think that there's enough in the fund balance to where if an emergency happened, I don't think we'd be depleted. But I just don't feel comfortable rolling it up at this point.
Thank you, Ms. Hensley. We think similarly. I appreciate everything the mayor said. We certainly want public safety, but that's not really the debate. We've all already agreed to that. The debate now is how are we going to pay for it? Whether we're going to increase taxes to cover all this necessary expense, or whether we're going to dip into the rainy day and get it closer to the level we said we don't want to go beneath. And I'm comfortable with you. And I hear you, Ms. Chambers, and I remember clearly you tried to talk us into doing it last time. But I can't go back and say if we had, where might we be now? I mean, the county went up and now they were able to roll back. So that could have been where we are. But we can't rewind. We can't undo and redo. Where we are now is deciding how we're going to pay for this very important, necessary budget. So I'm with you. I want to pay for it with less of a tax increase. I don't want us to go up as much as we're. I'm more comfortable with getting from the 28% to the 25% margin that we try to maintain of our fund balance. So I need Cindy and I need Mr. Penny and I need somebody to tell me what it would take to do that. I want to talk about compromises, but I want to hear from Mr. Riggs also.
Okay. I am voting against this item. As a real estate appraiser, that's my day job. That's what I was out doing during the two hearings. As a real estate appraiser, I have witnessed the unprecedented and steady rise in market values over the past 2 years in Bullock County. I won't attempt to prognosticate the future, but I do feel that this is not the time to raise the millage rate. And I'll follow up on some things that Jenny Lee said. I appreciate you put it well. Thank you.
Y'all do understand that we're gonna have to come back to this next year. Year after year after year after year, we're gonna have to keep coming back. Next year, we're probably gonna be below the 25%. We're here to look out for the present and the future. I'm just tired of being in this spot over and over and over again when we can take care of it now. We should have taken care of it last year, but now, just like I stated, we are back here again, and we're going to have to come back next year. Just be assured, we're going to be back in the same spot next year.
Somewhere the tax digest is going to increase.
Not by next year.
Temperature ISO rating too for the fire department.
Any further discussion from council?
So my request was to hear something in between. I hear and appreciate and value what the staff has said about what we want to do. I mean, I know we have to pay for all of that, and that they recommend we increase it that much so we don't have to dip into the fund balance. But now I want to hear what the millage rate needs to be for us to dip into the fund balance, but not more than that 3% safety that we have in place. Well, the whole 25% is safety.
The bar.
Pick a random number like you did last year.
I mean, if you leave it at 8.125, you're gonna go to the 25%. Okay? You're gonna go to the 25%.
So if we leave it at 8.125 instead of going to the 9.
You're going to the 25%.
Okay.
You are going to the 25%.
So, Mr. Mayor, help me understand. We have a motion. Is there a motion or this is just a proposal? Okay.
So we're still in discussion. And so what we know is that if we do nothing, we're gonna use $1.4 million. That's what we know. And our goal is not to use that $1.4 million. But we also know that we got folks that we're going to have to pay. And just to be clear, so that everyone understands this, 62.7% of our budget is staff related. And so when we're talking about cutting the budget, the only way that we can effectively cut the budget is by cutting jobs. That means we got to lay off firefighters, we got to lay off police officers, we got to lay off public works people, we got to lay off our water department people. That's what that means. That's the way you have to balance a budget, because 62.7% is staff related. The bulk of the remaining is operational, which means that the electricity that we use is the things that cost the city to operate. So in order to balance the budget, that means that we will have to lay people off. And the biggest departments that we have, public safety and public works, that's where we are. And so if we don't raise, my suggestion is that if we're going to compromise and we recognize that at the current rate of increase, that would allow us not to go into that budget, into the 1.4 million. Then I guess the conversation now becomes, how much of that budget are we comfortable with saying we're going to save to not go into the fund balance? Do we recommend half of what staff has recommended? Do we do a little bit more than half so that we won't go all the way into the budget? That's the conversation. And so we have to make decisions, because this is what the people elected us to do. And I'm going to tell you, I am for responsible government. And I'm telling you, if we have to start laying off police officers, if we have to start laying off firefighters, we'll come back and say we wish we started off the year, we lost 5 people to gun violence in this community this year, in the first 3 months, while we was hiring on police officers.
That's right.
The streets were going crazy. Maybe not in Edgewood, maybe not in Myrtle Crossing, but on the west side of this city, our children was living in danger. We had 2 young men killed in a double homicide right across the street from Georgia Southern. And this is when we didn't have enough police officers. And so this is where we are. This is where we are. So I'm being open, I'm being transparent. None of this is easy. None of this is easy. But when we sat up here, we said we wanted to put on our big boy pants and our big girl pants and make decisions that's going to be for the best. And what I know is a safe city is a prosperous city. That's what I know.
Mr. Mayor, I don't disagree with anything you said.
I know, but we got to make a decision. Let us be clear. I'll yield back to you. This is the 3rd year. This is not the 2nd. This is the 3rd year that we've been in the same space. The staff originally came to us and said, set the administrator at 8.5. We said, go ahead and eat your vegetables right then, because maybe that'll help us long term. We didn't do it. We went into the fund balance. Next year they came back and said, look, we didn't do it last year. In order for us to get into a better space, financially, get everything situated, we need to put it at 9.1. We didn't do it. And so here we are again. So this is the 3rd year that we are in the same exact space. And we know why we're here. So, and the only person up here that does not know is Ms. Henry. She wasn't here. But everybody else knows. And so, and I don't think, and I'm going to tell you, I'm the mayor, but I believe in truth and transparency. And I think the people need to know where you are, where we stand. And the only way you can cut $1 million from a budget like this right here
There's no program we got that's cost $1 million. We're not buying no cars that cost $1 million. It's people. That's the only way you're gonna do it. And what departments have the most people? Public safety. So this is where we are. So as a community, let me ask you this. Raise your hand. How many of you believe public safety is important? So,
Mr. Mayor, what I'm trying to say, I don't disagree with any of what you're saying about the needs, and we definitely want police officers and firefighters. We want the budget we have. We voted for it, we passed it. But is there a breakdown in communication? What am I misunderstanding? We're not saying don't do all those things. We're saying we're deciding today how we're gonna pay for it. I mean, we're gonna do it. We gotta do it. We've committed to doing it.
yeah.
But where's the money gonna come from? Is it gonna come out of the pockets of all the taxpayers in Bullock County?
In
As
Statesboro.
much as, I'm sorry, in Statesboro, right. Well, Bullock County, the folks gotta pay too. We pay for all three. But is it gonna come from increased taxes? Or is it gonna come from taxes like we've already been doing and the fund balance?
Yeah, it's either or. And this is what we got to be extremely astute about. And this is why I want y'all to come to the town hall meetings, because we have straight talking, right? Okay, so this is where it comes from. The city of Statesboro, either it's going to come from the fund balance, or it'll come from increased taxes. We don't sell donuts. We don't sell cars. We don't sell houses. There's no other way for us to go out and say that we're going to bring in additional revenue that's going to go into our general operating fund. So that's where we are. Yeah, it's going. When it's going. And let me tell you something. I lived in Albany, Georgia, when they had a natural disaster and it flooded. I was in Pembroke when that tornado hit, and FEMA told them, we have no money for you, right? And so what I know is that we got an aging water plant that at any given moment we can lose, it can go awry, and we've got a multi-million-dollar bill on our hand. This is where we are, Statesboro, and we just got to have real talk, real conversation. And what I can tell you is that we've made the decision, and we knew when we made that decision there was only two places that funding could come from. We knew that then. So there's no mystery. There is no secrets or anything like that. All of those decisions were made in public. So with that being said, Sherry, I hear you want to compromise, and I hear that you're trying to figure out, is there a way that that we can increase a little and go into the fund balance. And so I'm open to hear, and I'd like to hear everybody else's comments about compromising on a millage rate that will allow us to preserve some of the fund balance and not go as deep into it. And that's what I'm hearing from Sharon. I don't want to speak out of turn, but am I understanding you correctly?
I'm very open to hearing the other council members'
Okay.
thoughts on what we could arrive at that would maybe meet in the middle. What do you think, Mr. Riggs?
I'm still listening to our conversation.
I have much respect for everybody up there. I just want y'all to know that, but even if we compromise now, Shirley, we're gonna have to come back next year and do the same thing. It's gonna happen. I'm telling you it's gonna happen.
You're gonna have more housing next year.
Ms. Chambers, you may be right, but we don't know that for sure. And we know there are people in Bullock County now who can't afford to live here anymore. People in Statesboro and Bullock County who can't afford the rents, who are struggling to stay here. We don't want to have their burden any more than we have to.
I do feel that all the extra taxing on all the extra housing will help the situation. And I just feel that we can still support the safety in the town with keeping the current rate. Again, I'm not asking to decrease. I think with the current rate, we won't go below the allocated safety line. Now we're taking a chance if, something happens, with a disaster or flood or something, we might be in a mess then. But then again, nothing may happen. So, I would rather take that gamble and keep it where it is.
Y'all may have This is an indication of people that's not affected by the violence. So they live in their area, they not concerned. Let's just be real. Let's be real.
Mayor, can I make one comment? You don't mind?
We'll exercise, y'all two can come forward, we'll exercise a point of privilege.
Okay.
Come forward, state your name.
It's Lynn Fatika. One thing that you all need to consider, if you cut firefighters, you're going to drop your ISO rating. That is going to put a tax indirectly on them, of the homeowners, because the insurance rates will go back up. When the ISO rating 2 came in, my homeowner's insurance dropped $250. If it goes back down to 1, that is an indirect tax. That's less money than this tax request is for.
It would seem to me that the compromise is the best way to go, to look into that fund, the emergency fund, and see what's reasonable to take out of that, and then drop the millage rate, because people would agree with some increase because of the need for police and all of those things so vital to the community. But next year, you said next year we're going to be back here again, but next year is going to be changed because all of these buildings are going to be up, and there's going to be a greater tax base. Is that correct?
I'll answer that. This is, we can't do that because that's irresponsible government, okay? And so let me explain what that means. Responsible government cannot project what it's going to spend the next year based on what might happen. So yes, we have approved 4,000 new units to come on, but they may come on next year, they may come on in 2 years, they may come on in 3 years.
I understand that.
So because we don't know when they're gonna come on.
You understand that, but they are coming on.
Yeah, that's what the whole.
So each year.
We've seen projects that we've approved, and I'm gonna give you a prime example, because you may be familiar with this one. If you go on to Georgia Southern Campus at the intersection of Georgia Avenue, and I forget the name of the street, but where the old wooden nickel used to be, there's a huge project that's coming online. That's not the first time that project came before us. It came before us several years ago, but it never did come online. And so what we know is that just because we approve a subdivision, it doesn't necessarily mean that a subdivision is going to come on. So that's why we can't say, that's fiscally irresponsible to say we're gonna adjust the situation on a subdivision that may come on board. And so that's what we're looking at. But this is what my thought process is, and thank you, because you made a great point. What my thought process is this right here. If we did not raise it, the entire millage rate, and we know that half of it means that we're going to end up spending in and around $700,000 out of that space. That I would be for advocating for if we're going to go that route, that we do it slightly above that, so that we can save maybe $800,000, $900,000. That's what my thought process would be. But we would have to kind of figure out exactly where we would be at.
I'd like to make one comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
No matter what we decide today, raise it, lower it, make a compromise, no one who works for the city of Statesboro, that includes PD, fire department, public works, everybody up here, everybody out there, no one is going to lose their job. There will be no decrease in public safety. That's not going to happen. We've got to pay for it. It is paid for. It's just how we're going to pay for it. That's what it is. Don't anybody think that police aren't out there going to stop being out there after today. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. And
we've still got seven more to hire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the money's there. We're budgeted for that money.
Yeah.
So please don't anybody think, well, the fire department and police department aren't gonna come to my house when I have an emergency.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, and I think we all are committed to public safety there. I don't think, and I can tell you over the 7 years that I've been here, we've been more than dedicated to public safety. And the question is, how do we pay for it? And that's what the question is. And so Sherry, what is your thought process with us?
Mayor McCullough, I know you've got the discussion. What I'm understanding from Ms. Hindley is keep it where it is at 8.125. And I'm hearing you suggest a compromise in the middle or a little higher. Am I tracking the conversation correctly? No. I was going to say, I know, I'm sorry. My understanding is Ms. Hindley says keep it at 8.125. Ms. Chambers says go to the 9.125 of the full mill the city staff has requested. And you're suggesting a compromise in between? Is that what's on the table so far?
That's correct. I think it would be severely irresponsible to drop it at this point. I'm not asking for that, but I think keep it at the same. We'll keep everybody safe. We'll keep everybody's jobs, but at the same time, won't hit the taxpayers so hard.
Mr. Riggs, do you have anything further yet?
Mayor.
Yeah, come forward. And again, we're exercising the point.
Yeah. I'm Carolyn Williams.
I know.
Okay. If you own a lot of property,
Yeah.
and you're saying, maybe pick up, get something appraised $200,000, then I'm looking at an increase of $140.
Yeah.
But if you own several properties, I'm going to get exempt, or I got to pay that for all the properties I own in Bullock County.
Not
In state, not the county, I'm sorry, in Statesboro.
So yeah.
Like the apartments units here, my apartments units there, the houses I have in the city of Statesboro.
Inside the city of
Yes.
Yeah. The millage rate, it applies per property. So it's not a collective thing. It's a per property situation. And so you will get a singular bill that will outline your responsibilities as a property owner within the city. Yeah.
Thank you.
McCullough, what were you saying?
Yeah. Come on up and say while you're on the way up, we're going to talk to him.
Ms. McCullough. I think Ms. McCullough had a comment or two while you were on that.
To me, the bottom line is quit wasting. And then you want to keep increasing the tax. Because I don't see where your services being increased. Public Works been coming to my house for 2 years, ain't got there yet. With a ditch that stopped up. I have to get out there with a shovel and a hoe, clean it out myself. But you want to raise my tax. But you ain't giving me the service. So stop wasting. Rocks around the corner there. Waste money. For what? Nobody don't go around there and look at it. Nobody don't care nothing about it around there. Because if they did, they don't put something around there. All this wasting of the money there. $2,000 food bank. We can't go inside. You better stay in your car. Don't come over here. $2,000 food bank that I told you about before you built it. You could have went around there and got the old Maxwell building. It used to be a grocery store. They got all your hookups and stuff around there. Remodel that. Put your food bank around there. You got a little club there. Used to be a little club there. You could have did your food. But no, you want a new $2 million food bank. It's setting up out there and you can't go inside. Waste. I don't waste. I recycle everything. From rags to riches. I don't waste my money in nothing. But like I say, bad service, but tax increase. I can't get nobody out there to dig out of the ditch. Can't get nobody out there to look at the water. Can't get nobody to do nothing. But you want to raise my tax. Gonna keep raising my tax till I lose my house. And then what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go live in the van or somewhere like everybody else. I mean.
Thank you, Ms.
But $30,000 house with $800 a year tax, plus all your city and utility things, your sewer that you pay by the month. But you still pay $8,000 in taxes around the year. For what? I thought that thing that you pay on your water bill covered sewer and all that stuff. But evidently it don't. And school tax. I don't even have a child. Never have had a child in tax, but I've always, in school, but I've always paid tax.
Yes, ma'am. All right, and Mr. McCall, did you have a comment that you wanted to make? Okay. And so let us be clear. And I think that, you know, transparency is everything. The city of Statesboro partnered with with Bullock County and food bank to build a $2 million food bank. That is absolutely true. That came from ARPA funds, federal dollars. So not one penny of collected tax dollars from this area went to pay for that $2 million. So the millage rate that we're discussing, none of that money goes towards that. That came from ARPA funding. Okay, we got the neighborhood revitalization program. Yeah, that's ARPA funding. That's DFACS. The one thing that this city does as an organization extremely well is that we leverage the resources of the city to be able to attract additional resources so that we can maintain a low millage rate. If you look at the city of Statesboro, when you compare our millage rate with other sizable communities within the state of Georgia, our millage rate is somewhere in the middle. And this is us competing with cities that get the loss tax. The loss is a local option sales tax, which the city of Statesboro annually is missing out on about $5 million because we couldn't compromise decades ago with the county as to how we would use that loss tax. And so even with us not having that tool at our fingertips, we still leverage the city's resources in such a way so that we can maximize the services that we get to within our community. And we are able to do this because of the talent that we have within our organization. And so I want to be clear with you on that. What exactly, just when money comes in, there's different pots that can only be used for certain things. If you notice that the budget, there was almost a $10 million difference in budget. That was the $10 million difference in budget going down because we were using ARPA funds to be able to address the needs within our community. Needs such as food scarcity. When we talk about housing affordability, we leverage those ARPA funds so that we're able to increase the the longevity of the homes within our community. And when we're talking about families that's facing food scarcity, not only did we do the food bank, but we partnered with Feed the Borough, and I don't know whether you guys noticed or not, through that partnership to this date, we delivered over the past 4 years 2.5 million food rations, leveraging federal funding within our community. So this council has been astutely aware of the issues that our citizens face. And that, as mayor, I can tell you, I've walked nearly every street in this city. And I want to be clear with this. The policies that this body has laid out over the time period that we've been in is something we need to be very clear about. When I came into office in January 2018, the poverty rate for the city of Statesboro was 53%. Today is 37.2%. We cut it by almost 30% with the policies that we put forward. Okay? When we moved into this city, since 2018 till today, violent crime in this city has been decreased by over 70%. We are a body that's been astutely aware, on the ground, on the doors, talking to people in our community. So we're very aware of that. But council, we got a decision to make. Mr. Penny, you want to add anything?
Mayor and council, I just want to, and I want it to be clear, and we will work with whatever council does, but I do think it is important and my responsibility just to mention that fund balance. The thing about fund balance is once you spend it, it is gone. It is a non-reoccurring fund. So when you use it next year, it is not going to be there. But the expenses will continue to go forward. And again, we're going to do whatever you want. And the beauty of what we've seen in, some people might not think it's beauty, in the 5 years, we had a steady tax rate, and we were able to utilize fund balance. But when we make a recommendation, it is well thought out, and I would never come before you and bring something to you that I really hadn't agonized over, and I'm not saying that you think I would do that. The difficulty is, for 3 or 4 years, we didn't. I won't say we didn't have a tax increase, because when we even adopted the 7.308, we were using growth, so we were doing tax increase. If you approve 8.125, again, it is a tax increase, because you did not roll back for growth. The challenge again will be that by using fund balance next year, you won't have it. And as a manager, when Ms. Chambers says we will be here, we may get some growth. We count on some growth. But as a manager, I'd like to be in a place that I'm not having to recommend a tax increase every year. And so when the fund balance has gone from something like 53% down to the 28% where we are now, because we've had the luxury of being able to balance the budget with the fund balance. But the challenge has been, because we've done these things, we've hired these staff, we have to spend those funds, and that's the tough part. But we will do whatever you like. You tell me how you want us to go, and we're going to manage it. And I do think it's so important, and I appreciate the mayor and Mr. Riggs. I don't ever want our city employees to think that we're trying to put them on the chopping block, because they are our most valuable resource. And y'all have done a great job of taking good care of our employees.
Any further discussion? Any recommendations?
It seems to me the options are, Mayor McCollar, leave it at 8.125, which is not a rollback. It'll still be a little more taxes, but not as much as staff says we need to balance the budget without fund balance. Leave it at 8.125, come up with, which is what Ms. Henley recommended. Come up with a number in between. Last time we wound up splitting it and going to the going halfway between, or going all the way to what staff says is needed to keep from dipping into fund balance. That's my understanding of where we are.
Sounds right to me.
So I will offer for discussion, or I can make it a motion if that helps us move along, of 8.625, halfway between where we are now and what the staff has recommended. So that, my understanding is that would likely require us to dip into fund balance, but we wouldn't get that down to the 25% level. It would be less, and we would still have 25% above what we expect available for emergencies.
So look at it, Ms. Barr, as a part of the budget, even with what we recommended, we were using $700,000 of fund balance already. So the 1.4 was an additional 1.4 to that fund balance. So we were already using part of the balance.
Okay. But if the figure in the middle, I saw Cindy in the back, the figure in the middle, do you anticipate that getting us below 25% reserve?
If you do what you recommended, you wouldn't, more than likely, you wouldn't go all the way down. All the way down.
I mean, all the way down to To the 25?
Go all the way down to the 25%.
I keep checking myself because it is complicated and it's high finance and there are people who know how to do it and I don't. But I know fund balance is not a renewable thing, not just coming in automatically, but it built up during good years. It's from taxes, it's from revenue, it's from enterprise, it's wherever all. And so it makes sense to me that we don't get below the 25%, just like we're saying with emergencies, we want to keep that. But I don't feel good about sitting on more than that when we can spend it down to that margin and maybe offer some relief to the citizens of Statesboro. So all of that to say, yeah, making a motion at 8.625.
That's still us. We can, that's gonna put us right back, we'll be right back in the space next year. And we've been saying that for 3 years in a row. For 3 years in a row. If we don't do the 9.1, then I would advocate for either 8.725. That's what I would advocate for, because we've got to. There's a responsibility that's here, and in Statesboro, I've seen natural disasters. We can end up like Flint if something happens to our wastewater department. Okay. You know what I'm saying? We don't want a situation where our aged infrastructure goes down on us, whether it's at the wastewater plant or somewhere throughout the city, and we're in a space where we got our backs against the wall. And I just think that we just have to be transparent. Some things are not as easy as what people make them out to be. There's a lot of complicated measures. I think that we need to be slightly above that halfway mark, just to be as cautious. And hopefully, over the next year, we can look and see, okay, we got some growth. That's my Councilwoman Shea.
I've already given my thought process. I want to do this as staff recommended and be done with it. It's because I already know what we're going to have to do next year.
Okay. So, Councilwoman Boyd, you made a motion. Does the motion stand?
I'm still at 8.125. I don't let go of that.
You made a motion. Does the motion stand, or do you want to rescind?
I am willing to amend my motion and make it the 8.725 based on my respect for your being more of a professional policy setter and a few years longer in public city government than I. And because I know the staff knows what they're doing. And we don't want to make it any harder than we have to. So yes, sir, Mr. McCollar, I will amend my motion to the 8.725.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Those opposed?
Nay.
All right. I'll tap in the affirmative. So we'll move on to the next agenda item. One second. I'm out of order here. No, we need the council discussion. So we're good. We're correct?
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
You just want to wait with
You gonna call this? We need to take in the room, we need to take a 10-minute break.
receiving the space of the council. We'll move on to the next agenda item, that's agenda item 8. A public hearing and consideration of a motion to approve application 8A, AN 24-0801, Nisman Properties LLP requests annexation of approximately 139.2 acres of property in order to develop a single-family detached subdivision on Lakeview Road. 8B is a part of this as well, and that's application RZ 24-08-02. Nisman Properties LLP requests a zoning map amendment from the R40, which is the single-family detached zoning district, to the R6 single-family detached zoning district in order to construct an approximately 253-unit subdivision on Lakeview Road as well. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor? Aye. All right. Kathy, if you would.
Yes, currently the property is a 149.31 acre lot with no development on the site. The applicant is requesting a zoning map amendment from the default R40 zoning to the R6 zoning district in order to develop the property as a single-family subdivision. In the development of the existing Fernhill Farm subdivision, this property was considered as a connecting subdivision with a higher proposed density. Although the initial sketch plan shows approximately 253 units, this plan does not include provisions for stormwater management or substantial amenity space, which will result in a significantly lower unit count upon final platting of the subdivision. And you can see the, I'll look this way. The subdivision is just north of the Fernhill, and you can see the Fernhill is that cleared area just to the south of it. And the future land use map will show this to be a developing neighborhood. The zoning map will show this to be the proposed R6 zoning district. The subject property is shown on the top left, the property to the west on the bottom right, the property to the north on the top left, and the property to the south on the bottom right. And you can see the sketch plan here, and you can show an arrow showing the connecting road down to the Fernhill existing subdivision. It's right right there. Okay. And so it does show a connection, and there will be then 2 exits onto Lakeview Road. Staff does recommend approval of RZ 24-08-02. If this petition is approved by the Mayor and City Council, it should be subject to the applicant's agreement to the following enumerated conditions. 1, approval of the zoning map amendment does not grant site and/or building plan approval as submitted. The project will be required to meet all city ordinances and applicable building codes. 2, the applicant will be responsible for all utility extensions to serve the site and must provide a utility extension plan to the Department of Public Utilities prior to acceptance of the final plat. And 3, the applicant must submit a traffic impact analysis before acceptance of the final plat to ensure that appropriate right-of-way and traffic calming measures can be implemented. At the regularly scheduled meeting of the Planning Commission on September 3rd, 2024, the Commission recommended approval of the request and staff conditions upon a 5-0 vote. That is my presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kathy. Is there anyone here to speak for this request?
Good evening, Council. Ryan Poitras from Maxwell Reddick Associates. I'm the civil engineer on the project. I won't reiterate everything Ms. Kathy said, but I will point out that we are requesting the annexation to join the city of Statesboro with this property. That is due to the need for water and sewer. So we do have had meetings with Public Works, do have kind of an area on the plan for a regional lift station to supply this neighborhood. Again, it will connect to Fernhill. Right now, I guess for condition number 3, we do have a traffic study completed. It will warrant a northbound right turn lane, which will be included in the design. And then I wanted to point out the zoning for Bullitt County right now is R3, R25, so it does allow mixed-use development, townhomes and single-family homes. Annexing into the city of Statesboro and allowing us to rezone to the R6 would allow just for single-family homes, no townhomes in that area. One more thing I wanted to point out would be the density that was discussed. As Ms. Kathy said, right now we've got the 253 single-family lots. However, that does not include the amenity space or stormwater areas that were going to be required to meet city ordinance. So right now, this is as dense as it can possibly get. So as we get into design, it's only going to decrease from there. So, but I'm available for any type of questions you guys may have, and I'll let you guys discuss. Thank you.
Anyone else speak for? Okay. Is there anyone to speak against the request?
May we ask questions?
Do you want to engage them?
Yes.
Is it the public? You know what, Lord, I like you. Come on, man. Come on up there. Now, because you got me good, I want to know too. Yeah.
All right, my name's Walden Sack. I live on Stockyard Road, District 1. Is there any way to pull up the floodplain map on this? I drove by this property for 27 years, and I know it is encircled by an area that floods, including just a few weeks ago during Debbie.
Yeah.
So just want y'all to consider that part. And did he say that the turning lane would be going north, like away from the city?
Yeah.
Okay, because
Yeah, that's more Scriven County, if I'm understanding that right.
That's correct. Northbound right turn into the property.
but there's no requirement, because most people are going to be coming to Statesboro.
No, he just said a right turn
Into the property.
Okay, all right. Well, that's why I wanted to answer.
All right, good deal. As far as the overlay of the flood map, I'm not quite sure you can go online and do it. But if you need any assistance from staff, just reach out to them.
No, I pulled it up. That's why I was wondering if they could pull it up so y'all could see it. It's literally in the middle of a circle of the flood area.
Okay. And I'll tell you this right here, I'm quite sure that the staff has gone into that. And so let me lean on them right quick. So Kathy, can you answer that question?
Well, let me defer to the engineer.
Okay.
Yeah. I was going to point out that on this plan, the floodplain line is shown for the 100-year floodplain, and I believe it's that, I'm not sure if you can see it well, but the dashed line runs about the backside of the proposed parcels on the top, the lots, wraps around the top, and then as it comes around the bottom, everything that we show, we're staying out of the flood zone for that. So.
But it is completely surrounded by a floodplain.
It surrounds the top side as it comes along Mill Creek and then wraps back around the back where the other portion of the creek runs down to Mill Creek. So it's the road and everything else is elevated. It's really just a half circle around the backside of us.
Yeah, because like I said, I think a portion of this actually flooded during Debbie. Keep it.
Thank you. Anyone speaking against? All right, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to close the hearing? So moved. Is there a second? Okay. All right, all those in favor? All right, let's open this up for council discussion.
Mayor McCollar, I'd like to ask Mr. Poitras, I couldn't quite hear, if you don't mind coming and speaking into the mic. What you were, I didn't understand what you were saying about if it were still in the county, if it weren't annexed, something about differences with the city zoning.
So the zoning currently is R3, R25 for Bullitt County. So that allows for the townhome use and single family. What we're asking is upon the annexation to rezone to meet the county standard for just the single family. I believe R25 is what the
It's R6.
R6, yes, correct. So we would meet that zoning and density to meet the city standards. So there would be no townhomes proposed, whereas if it were to remain in the county, townhomes could be proposed based on the zoning that's there now. So.
Developers made the decision to want to be annexed so they can access city services.
Correct, for water and sewer, that's correct.
Yes,
ma'am.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Anyone else for or against? Alright, so with that being said, is there a motion to close the hearing?
We already did.
Oh, shit, my bad. Yeah, I'm tired.
Okay.
Yeah, is there any further discussion by council? Alright. With that being said, is there a motion to approve the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Moving on to agenda item 9, consideration of a motion to approve application sub 24-08-03 Five Dots Development LLC request preliminary subdivision plat on a portion of a 111 acre parcel in order to develop the townhome phase of the proposed subdivision at 6922 Kirk Halton Road. Mr. Penny, if you would. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Oh, did you want to open the public hearing?
No, it's
No,
a
it's not a
subdivision.
public
Oh, it's a subdivision. Okay,
Yeah.
very good. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yes.
I'm confused as well. Currently, the property is a vacant 111 acre tract with a phase 1 and 2 already subdivided on the southernmost section of the property. As proposed with the initial zoning of the property, the applicant seeks to subdivide the remaining property in order to allow for townhomes. Although a substantial project, this development was not considered as a development of regional impact due to the number of units. And you can see the location outlined in red of the site. And the future land use map showing this as a developing neighborhood. The zoning map shows this to be R2, the townhome. The subject property is on the top left, property to the west on the bottom right, the property to the east on the top left, and the property to the north on the bottom right. And you can see the phasing of this development. There are 3 phases, and the development to the north, which shows the townhome, is the 3rd phase, which they've decided to do now and we have the preliminary plat for the subdivision. The other 2 phases are in the gray area, and they're divided by red lines. Staff does recommend approval of SUB 24-08-03. If this petition is approved by the Mayor and City Council, it should be subject to the applicant's agreement to the following enumerated conditions. 1, approval of this preliminary subdivision plat does not grant site and/or building plan approval as submitted. The project will be required to meet all city ordinances and applicable building codes. 2, the right-of-way being dedicated to the city must be completed before approval of a final plat. At the regularly scheduled meeting of the Planning Commission on September 3rd, 2024, the Commission recommended approval of the request and staff conditions upon a 5-0 vote. That is my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any discussion by council?
Yes, please, Mayor McCullough. So looking at the plat, and I'm not seeing much in the way of amenities, which are required, and I know we're just rubber stamping staff saying this meets all the zoning, the legal part.
Legal part to be annexed. No, this
No,
is
we're not.
Oh, I apologize.
So remind me what's required in the R2 by way of amenities?
It would be at least 10% has to be amenity. Now, this does show the amenity space. It is shown as an open lot, which is allowed under the UDC. And also, you need the 35% tree canopy as well. Okay.
So we're just, staff will follow through and get as much amenity and as much improvement as we can out there.
We certainly will, and that's really one of my fine points, is that I really do want good amenity space to be shown. And you can see the other 2 phases that are divided by the red lines on the gray area.
We're not dealing with those. They're apparently going to do them out of order for whatever all reason.
Whatever reason, that's right, exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Any further discussion by council? Like, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Right, we move down to agenda item 10, which is consideration of a motion to approve application SUB 24-08-04. Horizon Home Builders request preliminary subdivision plat in order to develop a 220 townhome subdivision on approximately 39.970 acres of property on East Main Street and Abbey Road. Okay.
Yes, thank you, sir. Currently, the property is a vacant 39.97 acre parcel at the end of the existing Abbey Road. The applicant has provided a subdivision plat in order to subdivide the tract into both the 220 townhome units on the northern side of the proposed Abbey Road extension and the enhanced buffering of the cottage courts recently considered by the city council on the southern side of the road. And you can see the location of this site outlined in red. Future land use map shows this to be located as activity center / regional center. The zoning map shows this to be the R2 zoning district. And the subject property, you can see the end of Abbey Road on the top left, and the property to the west on the bottom right, property to the east on the top left, and the property to the south on the bottom right. And you can see the proposed subdivision plat as shown with the on this very southern side next to the HOC zoning. You can see the proposed cottage court with the buffers that have been included. And so staff does recommend approval of SUB 24-08-04. If this petition is approved by the mayor and city council, it should be subject to the applicant's agreement to the following enumerated conditions. 1, approval if the subdivision plat does not grant the right to develop on the issuance of individual building permits. All buildings must be approved by the city. 2, the final plat must meet all recording requirements of the Unified Development Code before any units may be sold in the subdivision. At the regularly scheduled meeting of the Planning Commission on September 3rd, 2024, the Commission recommended approval of the request and staff conditions upon a 5-0 vote. That is my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Council, is there any discussion?
Yes, please, Mr. Mayor. So we're looking, the plat that we're looking at shows coming in off of Highway 24 East Main Extension and then connecting to the Abbey Road that right now is a dead end. So there's 2 ways to come in and out. It's not dumping directly on the bypass anywhere. Thank you.
Any further discussion by council? All right, seeing that there's none, is there a motion to approve with staff conditions? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All right, thank you. We'll move down to agenda item 11. It consists of 11A, B, C, and D. This is a public hearing in consideration of a motion to approve application AN 24-08-05. Dennis Rose requests annexation of approximately 23.15 acres of property in order to develop a residential subdivision on Cypress Lake Road. 11B is application RZ 24-08-06. Mr. Rose requests a zoning map amendment from the R40 zoning district to the R3 zoning district on approximately 23.15 acres of property in order to develop a residential subdivision on Cypress Lake Road. 11C, application AN 24-08-07. Dennis Rose requests annexation of approximately 2.5 acres of property in order to develop a residential subdivision on Cypress Lake Road. And then 11D is application RZ 24-08-08. Dennis Rose requests a zoning map amendment from the R40 zoning district to the R3 zoning district on approximately 2.5 acres of property in order to develop a residential subdivision on Cypress Lake Road. Is there a motion to open the hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, Kathy, if you would give us a little insight on this.
Yes, currently the property is a partially vacant tract with a single-family home on the frontage of Cypress Lake and Whispering Pines Boulevard. The applicant seeks to develop a quadruplex subdivision on the property consisting of single ownership tracts of 4 units each. Under the existing site plan, the applicant would share access onto the existing Whispering Pines Boulevard, which has been noted as a significant concern. And you can see there are two parcels there, essentially, both outlined in red, separated by Whispering Pines Boulevard. The future land use map shows this to be a developing neighborhood. And the zoning map shows the reflection of the R3 and then the R6. The subject property is shown on the top left, property to the west on the bottom right, property to the north on the top left, and the property to the south on the bottom right. And you can see the issue here with the site plan. And I would, with your permission, sir, I would like to call up John Washington, our city engineer and director of public works, who has also some comments that he would like to make as well. Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. There are a number of concerns related to traffic movement with this layout. Primarily, the first one would be the Whispering Pines Boulevard entry onto that. It's within the curve. I have concerns about sight distance of residents in Whispering Pines coming around the curve and another vehicle trying to come out of the proposed development. And then you got the second entrance closer to Cypress Lake, which also proposes some concerns about vehicles stacking in there trying to come out of Whispering Pines and coming out of the proposed subdivision, everyone trying to get onto Cypress Lake. So we've impressed that onto the developer and their engineer. And then the other entrances, one on the bypass, that one is out of our purview. We have no control over that, so we don't even know if that will be approved. The other entrance is very close to the signalized intersection with the bypass. And I know there's a left turn lane, the striping configuration at that intersection goes back almost all the way to where the driveway is proposed. So there may be a conflict of interest where vehicles are trying to come out and you've got vehicles trying to get in the left turn lane coming from the direction of Bethany and Country Club. So we've impressed that onto the developer and their engineer that they're going to have to address these traffic issues with the engineering department before we'll go further. And that's also done through a traffic impact analysis. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
So with all the reasons that John Washington has outlined for us, we recommend denial of the requested application due not only to the proposed density and the lack of compatibility with the adjacent road network. If these petitions are approved by the mayor and city council, it should be subject to the applicant's agreement to the following enumerated conditions. 1, approval of this zoning map amendment does not grant site and/or building plan approval as submitted. Project will be required to meet all city ordinances and applicable building codes. 2, the applicant must submit a traffic impact analysis before completion of the project subdivision in order to ensure that appropriate right-of-way and traffic calming measures can be implemented. And 3, the project will be required to provide right-of-way to enhance the section of Whispering Pines Boulevard being impacted by the development of this subdivision in accordance with any traffic study requirements. At the regularly scheduled meeting of the Planning Commission of September 3rd, 2024, the Commission recommended approval of the request and staff conditions upon a 3-2 vote. Thank you. That is my presentation.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak for this request?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. My name is John Dobson, here representing Dennis Rose tonight. I appreciate the presentation that Ms. Kathy put. I appreciate the comments that Mr. Washington made. In developing this, this is the third or fourth rendition that we've had. We've been through 2 Right Start meetings with the city, and we tried to come up with a plan that would work for Mr. Rose and hopefully work for the city. All this is in a state of flux. The roads, the entrances, everything. We can move, we can adhere to the city standards. As John pointed out, there may be some concerns along Cypress Lake Road with the Department of Transportation where their decel lane or acel lane even ends or begins or ends. So all that can be addressed. The roads within the subdivision will be public, not private. There will be 60-foot wide, curb and gutter, sidewalks. We have plans for, instead of having poly carts, which I know the city staff didn't like, our plan is to put in a centralized dumpster. We have amenity areas shown, stormwater detention, adhere to all the city ordinances. We feel like we can make a nice subdivision out of this. There was one question that was asked at P&Z is what kind of green space did we have on this? So I had one of the engineers run through it this afternoon. We have somewhere, as shown on this, between 35 and 40% is green space. We have 172 units. We feel like that's the most that we could get. Will it be that many? Depends on the engineering plans and everything else considered. I'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have, and we would ask for your support.
Thank you. Is there anyone else to speak for?
Thank you guys for having me. Been a city resident since 2001. Been in real estate for almost 20 years. And been around a lot of developments, and a lot of the stuff you talked about today is development is really slow. I've been in development for 5 or 6 years, and all projects move extremely slow. Projects that you think would be approved, ready to go, take 2 and 3 years sometimes to get done. This project in particular, we've kind of, if it's able to get approved, I feel that it would be a great asset to the city of Statesboro. First of all, it's close to the Publix and all the new happening stuff. It's close to the soccer stadium, close to the university. This is where we need some growth in our county, in the city. And I really think it'll be affordable. And that's a big thing for the whole city and for the county is affordability right now. And the cheapest product on the market in the whole county is about $260,000 for a new construction property. We aim to be on this development right around 200, and I don't know where else in America can you buy something for 200,000 brand new construction. So that would be a very affordable product that we going to look for. Could be a first time home buyer, a very affordable thing for them, especially with interest rates coming down some. So I think it'll be a great asset to the community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else to speak for this? All right. Is there anyone here to speak against? All right, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor? Aye. I want to open it up for council discussion. Discussion by council.
So the engineer is willing to address all of the staff concerns with all of the entryways and mitigating traffic. Is that so?
Yes, ma'am. We plan to adhere to all the engineering standards that we have to by the state and the city of Statesboro.
Okay. What's most appealing to me is I didn't say
Don't
price
Don't
point.
say it. Don't
I
say
can't.
it. No.
When they say it, we
He opened. Yeah, I know. I'm messing with it. I knew it was coming.
I said what's the most appealing thing to me is the price point of these homes. So you want me over with that one.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, the last person who spoke, I didn't hear you introduce yourself, so I don't remember
Paul
your name.
Newman.
Thank you, Mr. Newman. So you're a realtor who's involved in the development, is that
Yes,
right?
that's correct.
Okay, thank you. So I share staff's concerns about the density there, and I agree with Ms. Chambers. My understanding from our attorney is that we can't base our decision on how much it's gonna cost or whatever. It has to just be whether we think it meets the needs of the city to be zoned this way. So if it's zoned this way, it could be a quadruplex that's like a condo arrangement. Is that what y'all are thinking? The individual purchases? And the physical structure's quadruplex, like 4 attached units. But the ownership would be like condo, so each person's buying their interior space.
That's correct.
Okay. So I agree with what you said, Ms. Chambers. And this is the same road we just had all those hearings about, back up towards Bethany, for how much traffic we're already adding with that. So I agree with staff that even though we would love to see this development, this may not be the best place for it. You know more about that than I do, John. What do you think?
Don't put him on the spot.
It's gonna take them a while to build it. Paul said it, these things develop slowly. Traffic studies, as soon as you guys can provide them for us, we're gonna fix it. I promise we're gonna fix Burkhalter and Fair Road. Eventually, we're working on it. But, I feel that, traffic will fall into place as the development goes on, if it passes.
I also think it's a good development, since y'all did bring it up. I'm also thankful for a good price point here, even though that does not sway my decision. I also feel like if everything's addressed that was brought up by Ms. Cathy, then, I think the approval court's fine with me.
Any further discussion by council? Is there a motion to approve of item 11A, B, C, and D with staff conditions? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Opposed?
Oh, any opposed?
Opposed?
You got Sherry? All right, so we move down to agenda item 12. Public hearing consideration of a motion to approve application RZ 24-08-09. Mitchell Ball requests a zoning map amendment from the R15 HOC, single family residential highway oriented commercial zoning district to R6 zoning district on a portion of approximately 3.69 acres of property that orders to develop a residential subdivision on Zero Road. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Currently, the property is a partially vacant 3.69 acre parcel located on both Northside Drive West and Zetterower Road. The applicant intends to develop a portion of the lot in order to develop a group of single-family homes on Zetterower Road while maintaining the existing commercial uses on the other sections of the site. Due to changes in the city ordinance and the existing infrastructure of the road, zoning conditions have been set to assist with traffic calming on the site. And you can see the site outlined here in red on Zetterower, mostly on Zetterower. Future land use map shows this to be in a developing neighborhood. The zoning map shows it's partially in the HOC and then in the R15 zoning districts. The subject property is shown on the top left. Property to the northwest on the bottom right. Property to the northeast on the top left. And the property to the west on the bottom right. And this basically shows a sketch plan of the 11 residential lots with a 30-foot buffer, which we're very pleased to see from the HOC zoning district. And staff does recommend approval of RZ 24-08-09. If this petition is approved by the mayor and city council, it should be subject to the applicant's agreement to the following enumerated conditions. 1, approval of the zoning map amendment does not grant the right to develop on the property. All construction must be reviewed and approved by the city. 2, cottage courts shall not be allowed use on this property due to the potential increase in traffic generation. 3, the driveway cuts for the property will be limited by the creation of either a rear access road for lots, a front shared access, or some other access plan as determined appropriate by the Department of Public Works and Engineering. Now, I will tell you that we did meet with the applicant's engineer, with a representative from the Public Works Department, and we did come up, we feel, with a agreeable plan. 4, the driveway plan must be approved and reflected in the preliminary subdivision plat for this property. At the regularly scheduled meeting of the Planning Commission on September 3rd, 2024, the Commission recommended approval of the requests and staff conditions upon a 5-to-1 vote. That is my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathy. Is there anyone here to speak for this request?
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of council. My name is Hayden Ron with Hussey Gate Bell. If I would have known we were going to be here this long, I probably would have talked to Mr. Penny and got some pizza for everybody. More seriously, I would like to thank Ms. Kathy and staff for meeting with us to come up with a plan that everybody could agree with. We think this will kind of revitalize that area and provide some much needed housing for that section of town. So I'll be glad to answer any questions that council may have, and we appreciate your time listening to our request.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here to speak for? Is there anyone here to speak against this request? All right, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're going to open it up for council discussion. Any discussion by council?
Yes, where did you say there was gonna be a shared access, either in the front or the back?
That's correct.
What did y'all agree on, or you had to pick which one yet?
So we haven't finalized exactly what it'll be. It kind of depends on how we, if they'll be front loaded with a garage in the back, with an access road or a road on the front, just to keep from having 11 driveways on the Zetterire. There'll just be 2 access points.
Gotcha. Are these houses gonna look the same?
That probably will look similar, but the intent is, that'll be.
But not cookie cutter?
Correct.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
So I understand the front part is gonna say highway oriented, right next to Sparkers and immediately behind Sparkers, and I'm trying to change that. It's just the west of it going back towards elementary school. Thank you.
Any further discussion by council? All right, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve the staff recommendations?
So with staff recommendations, especially the driveways.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll move on to agenda item 13, which is consideration of a motion to approve an award of contract with the Coastal Regional Commission to complete the city central strategic plan. This is coming from our work session. Anything you want to add to that, Mr. Penny? Okay, council, any discussion? All right, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor? All right, we'll move on to agenda item 14, which is consideration of a motion to approve a contract amendment with Insight Planning and Development LLC to complete remaining housing rehabilitation project. This was a part of our work session. Is there anything we need to add to that beyond the work session? We recommend approval. And just so that folks here know exactly what's going on, let's give them a little bit of insight about this, so they'll know exactly why we're approving.
We opened up the application for additional housing, and so this project, actually, housing rehabilitation, started in 2022. The funds that you approved initially will run out, so we needed additional funds. We probably have about 17 additional homes, and 4 or 5 reconstruction projects. And so Insight is our technical contract for writing up the rehabs and for doing all those inspections. And so we just need additional funds in order for them to be able to complete the project.
And that's going to be with ARPA funds?
That's with ARPA funds.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, any discussion by council? All right, seeing that there's none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we move on to agenda item 15, which is consideration of a motion to approve the purchase of 6 new patrol vehicles for the Statesboro Police Department in the amount of $272,903.56 from Metal Ford. This purchase will be paid. Oh, I'm sorry, and she didn't tell me. I'm sorry. Agenda item 15 needs to be removed. I apologize. And the staff did tell me. It's been a long one. We move on to agenda item 16. And just for transparency with the audience, there was a discrepancy in the numbers, so we want to bring that back when the other numbers are accurate. Okay? Agenda item 16, consideration of a motion to approve the purchase of one Silphane 75-foot aerial apparatus and one 100-foot aerial platform apparatus for the Statesboro Fire Department through Source World Contract number 113021-SUT with Williams Fire and Equipment in the amount of $3,674,819.32. This purchase will be paid for from 2019 SPLOST funds. Mr. Penny.
Mayor, members of the council, if you remember last month during our work session, Chief Tim Grams gave you an extensive update about the condition of our current fire fleet. And we have one of our aerials that I'm going to say sort of life support. And the turnaround time on these vehicles is some as long as 48 months to get done. But what we talked with you about is the need to get in line and to order a ladder and a platform. And so staff has done some great work and in looking at the availability of some equipment. We are able, working with Sefton, they do have a 100-foot platform vehicle that is being built now. It would meet our specifications and could be delivered sometime in February of 2025. The other 75-foot will take that 24 to 36 months to have built. But with that being the case, we look for sources to make sure we were following the appropriate processes. And so tonight we're recommending the purchase of these 2 pieces of equipment from Sefton. And recommend your approval. We are able to pay for these out of our 2019 SPLOST funds. Chief is here if you have any questions.
Any further discussion by council? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor? All right, we move down to agenda item 17, other business from City Council. Any other business from City Council?
There were 2 things I wanted to highlight, unless you're planning on covering Mr. Penny, brag on our finance department, the award of excellence.
Yes, we go right ahead.
And then the one girl KSBD, they're covered in as well. Okay, so 2 of the city commissions, the one borough commission is it's the time of year when we bring on new people, when folks retire off. So if you're interested in serving on the one borough commission or the Keep State Beautiful commission, 2 different city commissions, go online from now through next Friday the 27th. The application period is open. You'll submit an application through our city clerk, Ms. Leah Harden, and be happy to welcome more people to serve the city that way.
Thank you, Sharon. Any other business from City Council? All right, seeing that there's none, we'll move down to agenda item 18, which is city manager comments.
Mayor, members of the council, and this meeting has taken a little bit longer, but tonight we were joined by members of the this year's Leadership Bullet class. I know there were at least 4 ladies that were in attendance, and our own Olympia Games is a part of that class. And so, for the record, they were in attendance. So I'm sorry we didn't get to recognize them before they left. Couple of things I want to call to your attention that there is going to be a public meeting at the Brandon Street, the Brandon Street Corridor Study. That will be on September 26th from 5:30 p.m., 5:30 to 7 o'clock p.m. at the Statesboro Family YMCA. So Thursday, September 26th. So we want to get that word out. So anyone who has an interest in the Brandon Street Corridor Study, to please try to attend that. Mayor, members of the council, I think we are in exciting times, and when you go down Stockyard Road, you see work going on, land being cleared, but you also see the old Judy P. Bryant Elementary School being repurposed with 50-some apartments that will be online and is for seniors, for senior citizens. And tonight, I'm pleased to say to the public that Bill Gross and his team have been awarded additional tax credits to do the next phase of that project. So another 50-some housing units. They'll take the old football field and convert that to housing, and they will take the old gym and they will repurpose that to like a community center. And so we're excited about that project moving forward. So you should congratulate yourself because it was your work that helped them qualify for this. Tonight I want to just ask council to consider, there's an item in your FYI packet, and it has to do with Whitesteel Park. If you remember, at the last meeting, I told you we had applied for a CDBG grant for the park, for housing and for infrastructure. And we did not get selected. The park in and of itself is difficult in order for the DCA to fund. And so staff looked around to see if there was a way that we could try to help this project come about. When we look at our ARPA funds, we have the housing portion and we have the wastewater, the sewer extension. We will have done Fox Lake, Ramble Road. We're getting ready to do the Quill Run. With that, we will exceed almost $5 million for sewer. In order to get these funds committed, it would be very difficult for us to get something designed for the sewer. We would like to ask council to consider allowing us to use $1.2 million remaining to take the design of the park that was done by Woods, and it's not Woods anymore, and do a design build for the Whitesteel Park. And that would include picnic facility. We already have the basketball, but do some improvements in that general area. And so I have it in your memo tonight. If you don't want to answer tonight, at the next meeting, we would need some indication because we've got to turn the project around very quickly to get it working. So by the end of December, we could commit those funds to that project. So I'm asking you to consider that this evening, and we'll follow your lead on that matter.
I would like to ask council, I don't think it's missed on anyone here or anyone familiar with the Whitesteel community. how desperately this needs to be done. But with that being said, I do want to ask council to allow staff to allocate that $1.2 million for the Whitesville Park. If that's suitable to council.
Just double check, that's ARPA funds.
Yes,
That's ARPA interest.
Yeah,
That's
ARPA funds. That's ARPA funds. That's solid ARPA funds. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to make a motion that we do that with the rest of the ARPA funds. And I would like to note that as far as possible, we build in the permeable pavement and the green features that have been discussed there.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you, council. So we're down to public comments. I know we had 3 individuals signed up for public comments. Mr. Armel is no longer here. And then we also had Mr. Johnny Dorsey. And then Marcus Cook too.
Come on down, Marcus.
How are y'all doing today?
Good.
I'm just here to talk a little bit about the closure of the Restore. I know there are a lot of people are kind of sad to see it go. I'm sad to see it go as well. I will say that it's been roughly breaking even for a number of years, and we have an opportunity to make enough money off of the building to build a fair number of houses. And so that's what Habitat does. One of the, of course, whenever you do something like this, you get lots of comments on Facebook. One of my personal favorite is that Marcus Tool has sold out to developers, and that's why they're. I was like, well, first of all, I'm just a staff person. I had no say in this. Number one. Number two, Habitat for Humanity, at least in terms of nationwide, in terms of our operations inside the United States, we are the 28th largest housing developer in the United States, and that's just United States operations. Last year we built nationwide 11,516 homes and repaired 2,788 others. But Habitat for Humanity is a much larger organization worldwide than it is in the United States. Worldwide, we, through home building and home repaired, we serviced 13.4 million people last year. We operate in 70 countries, and we build and overall global revenue for the entire organization is $2.4 billion. And as far as nonprofit organizations, we are the most globally recognized nonprofit organization in the world, with the exception of the Red Cross. They are bigger and better known. So that's so what we do is we build houses. And so when people say, well, you've sold out the developers, we are a nonprofit developer. So in our advocacy programs, often the things we advocate for are in line with what private developers advocate for. Sometimes we're on the other side but the things that raise the cost of housing to be built by private developers raises the cost of housing. And we're all about a world where housing is affordable to everybody. So that's what we do. Thank you.
Marcus, how many houses have you built in Statesboro?
We're on 60 something. And we have recently broken ground on 3 additional houses, and we're hoping that a partnership with the city will result in maybe 6 or so more in the sometime future. So I mean, we're in business to build houses, and that's what we're doing. And selling this building actually allows us to build 3 houses instead of 1 house.
Thank you for your service.
All right, I will move down to agenda item 20. As I understand it, there is no need for executive session today, which will bring us to agenda item 21, which is a consideration for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Good night.